Hey guys, this is Blake from Blake's Sanctum, retro site for retro games. Subscribe.
Welcome to a special bonus episode in my website and video series covering classic civilization genre games like Colonization, Master of Magic, Test of Time, Alpha Centauri, Call to Power, and of course the Civ series itself. In these bonus videos, I'll be touring some of the awesome fan games and my favourite scenarios and mods for all these games, as well as my own personal mods, while also trying to sneakily play as the barbarians via hacks or cheats. In my main series, I show you how to play these great old games in HD using either special versions, tricks or mods. Check out the playlist link up top or in the video description and comments below to see the other episodes. Hey guys, welcome to another bonus episode in my big Civ series where I'm trying to play each of the classic Civ games in HD and also play as the barbarians and also try out some of their cool mods and scenarios. And this video is a Dune scenario for Civilization 1. Yes, really, a scenario for Civ 1. I'm a huge Dune fan, or more precisely a Dune media fan, as I love the films, the TV show, all the games. Can't wait for the new film that's coming, and sooner or later I'm going to get to the books too. And you know, so much so that I run a Dune Games website where I tribute the official games and all of the awesome fan games and mods out there based on the Dune universe. So naturally I just couldn't resist checking this one out when I discovered that there was a Dune scenario for Civ 1. So in this video I'm going to load up the scenario and show you what it looks like, and then I'll show you a save game after I'd played it for a while. And then I'll finish off by showing you the map editors that people use to create this scenario and a whole bunch of other cool ones out there that people should check out. Now if you want to skip to any of these parts, I'll put time skip links below in the video description. But let's get things started. So here we are, welcome to Dune. Desert planet. Oh, and I should say, if you've come to this video and you haven't seen any of my other episodes and you're thinking, how the hell is he playing Civ 1 in HD? Well, that's covered in my main episode where I show you how I'm able to play in HD using a combination of Civ for Windows with a virtual machine and a DOS graphics mod made by a guy named Honza and a soundtrack overhaul mod made by me to give you the ultimate classic Civ 1 experience, but in HD. And it also makes the perfect tool for trying out these scenarios. Although if things are too small for you because you're looking at it on a laptop or a mobile phone, then don't worry, you can change the resolution of the virtual machine and the game will resize to fit in that, and then you can just stretch the virtual machine across your screen and that should make everything bigger. But I'm viewing this on a big screen, so I'm going to keep it this way. Now this scenario was made by a fellow named Autumn Leaf, and he actually made another really cool scenario called Riverworld, and there's actually a bunch of other really cool Civ 1 scenarios out there which people should check out, and I cover them in my main tour video that I mentioned earlier, as there's like a World War II one, there's a Rise of Rome one, and there's just, you know, all sorts of stuff. So I strongly suggest you guys check out that video to see more details on those scenarios. But as for this Dune scenario, you can see it looks super cool, and I just couldn't resist covering it, as I was planning on covering Dune scenarios for other Civ games too, like Civ 2 and Civ 3 and Civ 4, as there's some brilliant ones, but I was not expecting to find one for Civ 1. But it is. I mean, you can see here it says Atreides. The creator of this scenario has actually renamed the units and the factions and everything. It's brilliant. So if I and the city names as well. So I found the city, and now, unfortunately, all these scenarios are for the DOS version of Civ, but I've converted to Civ for Windows using editors, and I've actually uploaded my converted files to the Civ Fanatics forums, so you'll see them in the thread links I'll be putting in the video description. But anyway, sadly, in this particular scenario, I've noticed that my converted like the scenario has not carried over his unit names. CivWin seems to somehow get in the way of that. Whereas if you load it up in the DOS version, you'll actually see he's got special Dune-ified names for every single one of the units, which is a nice touch. But nevertheless, it's not a huge big deal. Everything else is thankfully working just fine. Like if I go to here, you'll see I'm Emperor Muad'Dib of the Atreides. And if I look around, which I'm probably, I realise this, I should be putting up a big spoiler alert, because obviously you're not really meant to see the entire map when you start a game. I've only turned on full view purely for this video to do a good tour, because obviously if I load up the save game and everything's black because you haven't explored the world, I'm not exactly showing off the mod too well, am I? So apologies to the creators of these mods if I'm spoiling everything, but anyway, if we explore, he's sort of made almost like a planet-like shape. It's actually round, and of course Civ1 is hard locked to have I suppose you call it a donut-shaped world, I think they call it, where it just goes on forever, it just keeps going in a circle. But nevertheless, he's sort of made a planet shape, and you've got all these different factions. You've got all the Fremen factions, and you've got, of course, got the Harkonnen down here. I can see them, and of course it won't tell me about them, I suppose, but until I meet them. But the Harkonnen are here, and look at this. We've got some interesting barbarian faction, Arakeen. Lots of little outposts. I believe from the editor they're the Imperials, so that's probably the Emperor and his Sardaukar. And looks like there's a few other factions to have fun with. And as you can see, it's a massive desert map. And funnily enough, actually, I think that the default graphics for CivWin might actually suit this scenario better. See what I mean? Look at that. You know, that sort of what some people find horrible, you know, the yellowish graphics of the default Civ for Windows, it actually kind of suits this scenario because, you know, it's a Dune scenario, it's a desert planet. Now there's a lot more yellow. We've still got green and other things, but there's a lot more yellow, which I think is quite fitting for it. So I'll leave it up to you guys, should you wish to try this scenario, how you want to have it display. Now, I think I'll load a save game up to show you guys some of the fun I had playing this scenario. And here we are. As you can see, I've been a busy boy on the sand dunes of Dune. I ended up turning back on the DOS graphics mod because, I mean, that's kind of how the designer intended it. It was meant to be played with the DOS version, so if I'm going to play with the Windows one, I may as well have the DOS graphics on. But yeah, it was, you know, obviously there's a lot of rules that the designer set for this scenario, and I kind of didn't follow some of them, so I'm very sorry, Autumn Leaf. You know, you're basically, to win the scenario, you're supposed to capture every single spice site, and spice sites are represented by these oil patches, and I think the coal as well. So you're actually meant to put cities on every single one of them, and that's how you claim them. But yeah, instead I just played the regular. I played regular Civ. I just colonised all the nice fertile areas, and put cities around them, and obviously the Arakeen, as you can see, controlled by the Imperials, who were very powerful. They get like a rifleman unit defending their city. I don't know if it's a Dune name that it was given, but it basically can send out legions, which renamed to Sardaukar in this scenario. It can send out Legion Sardaukar every turn. So I was just getting pummeled through here. So I ended up having to set up a fort and some people there, and just was constantly sending out my my Ornithopter fighters out to kill Sardaukar units around the place. And I eventually managed to sort of, you know, get this area safe, but I couldn't break through because of the riflemen. So I was thinking about nuking the place, but I didn't want to ruin the city. But then I noticed the AIs all just started pounding this city continuously. They were just suiciding endless amounts of sandwalkers, which are chariots, and cannon. At the city, and losing, and eventually they finally broke through and killed the rifleman and took the city. And the moment they did, I went, thank you very much, and I I went straight in and smashed it and took it, and obviously fortified the area. Yeah, one of the Fremen tribes got quite dominant and took over this side and killed this area, and the Harkonnen, they got powerful and started killing a Fremen tribe up here and bullying this one as well. So yeah, we're the remaining survivors. Me, the Atreides, and the Harkonnen, and a couple of more than a couple, 3 Fremen tribes, including one that got very powerful. And as you can see, I like it how the designer put custom names for every single city that the AIs were building. It's all he's put them all in there. So I don't know what the limit was, but we never hit it. The AIs kept building cities and not hitting it. So it's super cool. And I'll show you some stats. Let me see. These wonders were built by the civs that got destroyed, the Fremen tribes, because I got beaten, because of course the computer cheats in Civ1 to getting wonders, so they got them really quickly. Right from the get-go they started stealing wonders, but I managed to get quite a few in the end in my capital. As you can see, I got a few important ones there. You can see them in the city there, some of them. Of course, he didn't mod the city screen. No one's ever done that before. Would be kind of cool if someone did though, but obviously it's still green. And what else can we look at here, eh? Top 5 cities. That should be all me. Oh no, look at that, the Harkonnen. Oh, because he got 3 wonders in there. Yeah, the wonders helped them to overpower me. But I've definitely got the population here. Score, of course, it's nothing special because you're heavily penalised in this scenario for a number of things. And the world map. Actually, I should have showed this earlier, because this really shows how it looks like planet Dune. And the mod maker said that he actually based it on the actual map of Dune, but obviously took some design liberties to help balancing in the scenarios. I think he said it's from was it the South Pole or the North Pole view? I can't remember what he said now, sorry, Autumn Leaf, but it's one of the poles you're looking down on. It actually reminds me a lot of playing Dune 1, which in my opinion is one of the most underrated games in the history of gaming, as it's an awesome adventure game, strategy game hybrid, and also seeing this map and the layout of all the Fremen tribes and their stitches totally reminds me of darting around the Dune map in the game Dune 1, trying to get the allegiance of all the tribes and all that. Really fun game. But I like that. It actually really, if you couldn't see that it resembled a sort of a planet shape on the regular view, you can sure as hell see it here. That's really cool. And of course, I should have said earlier, his clever use of putting tundra and mountains against the ocean stops you irrigating, because you can't irrigate these quests. You can't use the oceans, and he didn't want to put oceans, and he was forced to, because apparently the game crashes when pirates start getting spawned on the map and they need water to go into, so he was forced to. So that was a clever solution to stop people using it as irrigation. So I had to steal water from the imperial city. There was starts with some irrigation, and so I basically built a road and pipe network, and this city wasn't here earlier on, so I had to build a road and pipe network into my empire, and under constant imperial Sardaukar attacks. And then I took forever to get it all set up, but I sort of was just finishing up just as my game was ending. And I was doing pretty good in nearly all areas, but obviously they had a bigger army than me. I was mainly playing defensively and setting up fortresses around key points, and all my cities generally had an ornithopter and a sandwalker unit ready to go out and attack anyone that messed with me. I of course put in a deterrent nuke in the city. Also had a Mentat diplomat ready to steal units ready, e.g. like stealing wandering settlers like that one. I was just thinking about getting that one when the game came to an end, and this was actually my last turn because I had launched a spaceship, and that's one of the scenario goals. You're meant to sort of build your spaceship to link up with the up in orbit where there's a navigator guild ship waiting for you to go and conquer the galaxy with your spice-fueled Monopoly and armies and everything. So I sent it off, and it's on its way, and it landed next turn. Oh, and I've been working away on my palace as well. Didn't quite get it finished in time because obviously the particular scenario circumstances, but no doubt if I had gone to conquer everyone, I instead of just going towards the spaceship and I would have got all the spy sites as I was supposed to do in the scenario parameters, I'm sure I would have hit the sort of score levels necessary to finish off the palace. Oh, and I should mention that money is extremely hard to come by in this scenario. Science is disabled, so you're basically just left to use money and luxuries, and so because you're generating bugger all trade off the land, because you can't pick governments that allow for extra trade, you're going to be in debt very quickly if you try to develop your cities and put lots of buildings in them. So I basically used a classic trick I use in Civ most of the time anyway, which is to build buildings up and then just start building and selling libraries continuously. Because obviously Civ1 never had a capitalization option that Civ2 had to make money. So I just make and sell buildings continuously, and that allowed me to stay in surplus. But I had a lot of fun playing this. It was just, to have such a different experience in Civ1. It was just really cool. To actually play a scenario in Civ1 was quite a magical thing. Like I said earlier, there's a number of other really cool scenarios for Civ1 as well, so if you're a big Civ1 fan and you want to check out this whole area that you may not have known about or mucked around with before, then I strongly suggest you check these scenarios out at the Civ Fanatics forum, which I'll put a link to in my description. Now, I should also say that I've been working to preserve these scenarios I've just shown you and more in special collections across multiple sites like Civ Fanatics, ModDB, and archive.org to hopefully ensure that they're never lost. So if you want to see more scenarios, or you have some that you want to add to this collection, then check out my preservation project link in the video description. Now, if you're wondering how on earth Autumn Leaf and all these other scenario makers are able to make these cool scenarios, they were using some really powerful editors, which I'll show you now to finish up this video. Now, this is JCivEd, probably the most modern and best Civ1 editor of them all, as you can do anything in this thing. You can change all the terrains to anything you want. You can place units, you can place cities, you can even go in and edit all the properties of those cities, you can edit all the civs, you can change so much stuff. You can even go into the units and change their names and do crazy stuff like that. Almost everything is changeable, which of course makes this not just a great save game or map creator, but it actually makes it a scenario creator. For Civ1 you can actually have scenarios because of this thing, because all you got to do is save it as a save game and send people the save game, and then they just load it up and bang, they've got a scenario ready to go. The only drawback is that it can only save in CivDOS save game format. But that's where this lovely program comes in, because if you're a CivWin player, then this program called CivCracker, which is slightly oddly named because it's really a Win Civ editor, and it even says it up there in the app thing, yet the exe and the zip and all that stuff is called CivCracker. But anyway, this editor is quite similar to JCivEd. It obviously doesn't have quite as many features, as that really is the ultimate editor, but it can do most of what JCivEd can do. Just maybe a little bit harder to find things, but you can still paint your terrain and place units and place cities, and you can edit existing, look at this, you can edit the units, the city, you can still play with everything. But what makes this editor even better is that you can load the CivDOS save games and then save them as a, like if I go here, yep, sure. I can actually save it as a .save file, which is the format that WinCiv uses. And WinCiv accepts custom file names, so if this is a scenario, you can give it the actual scenario name, which makes it even easier when passing files around between people. So, this is really cool. And obviously, people have used these programs to create some really awesome scenarios, most of which are in the depths of the Civ Fanatics and Napolitan forums and download sections, and that's how I found this awesome Dune scenario. So I think I'll leave it there, and I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I plan to do more Dune scenario tours in future Civ games, because there's one for Civ 2, there's one for Civ 3 that I've seen, there's a brilliant one for Civ 4, there's probably more out there I haven't found yet, so watch this space, or more precisely watch this playlist, because I'm going to cover each Civ game and how to play it in HD, and not just the main Civ games but also the spin-offs like Colonization, Master of Magic, Alpha Centauri and Cult to Power. I'll be doing bonus episodes on how to play as the barbarians in each of these games, and then even more bonus episodes just like this one, covering some of the amazing fan games and awesome total conversion scenarios and mods out there, including some of my own that I've been working on. But yeah, since the spice must flow, I'll leave it there for now. I'll see you next time, guys. Bye.